What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. Today we are starting a new build. We are going to be working on this Tracker Grizzly 1648. This thing has a brand new Tohatsu motor on it. It has not been started. It's not done in the break-in period. We're gonna have to do that if we're gonna put this thing out on the water. I'm gonna do something a little bit different with this build. I just came down here now. You guys haven't seen this shop. This is my other shop. We use this basically for storage. I rent out the other half of it over here. We used to use this when we had a bunch of guys down here working. But then COVID happened and it kind of slowed up. So we rented out half of it. This half is kind of my storage area. It's kind of nice for me to have a place to park some stuff that I don't have to have access to every day. Now, this boat, I'm going to be doing this at the shop. I'm going to build a kit for this. Now, a lot of you guys have Tracker Grizzly 1648s or any boat that's a 1648, but this one in particular, I'm going to do this setup as a tournament boat. It's gonna be very similar to all my builds. Honestly, I think the one it's gonna most relate to is going to be the Punisher build, except it's gonna have a little bit more storage up in this front deck. So what I plan to do with this thing, he has this hole up here for access up into this front deck storage area. Now, I'm gonna leave that there. Right in front of that, I'm gonna drop a hatch. Behind that, I'm gonna have another hatch. That hatch is gonna be the live well. Then on the side of the live well is gonna have the electrical panel. And on either side of this big hatch in front of the storage compartment, I'm gonna have two more hatches. So we're gonna have a deck that comes back, have three hatches, 1, 2, 3, and then right behind that we'll have a live well with a hatch and an electrical panel right next to that. Then that gets us into this back bench seat. Now this thing is humongous, full of foam, obviously. We're gonna drop two big hatches in here. One on the port and starboard. I'm gonna cut open these holes, I'm gonna dig all this foam out of here, and I'm gonna put some battery trays inside of there. Then I have to figure out exactly how I'm gonna set up this back deck area. Now, obviously this motor is hanging off the transom. So if I'm gonna leave it like that, it's gonna limit how I can do this hatch back here. I might put that on a jack plate just to get it out of the way. And the other thing I hate about these boats is the way that this back panels dip down. You see they dip down, it's not flush. I'm gonna have to figure out something with that because I really don't want it to dip down right there. I like to keep the entire thing streamlined. I'm also gonna be putting a recessed foot pedal tray up in the front. And the whole thing is gonna be getting turfed. I'm not gonna tell y'all what color yet. I'm not 100% sure what color he's going to pick. But this thing is gonna be sick. I'm gonna go ahead and get my measurements on this. I'm basically gonna build all these hatches ahead of time. Usually I would do these later on. I build my framing first and just build the hatches to fit whatever size I need. But I'm gonna do this backwards. This is going to be done basically for you so that if you want to order some stuff, I'm gonna sell all this as a kit. All of the hatches, the live well, and I'm gonna try to build the entire frame as one unit. That way I can ship it to you. You can drop it in, drop your hatches in, and it should be a whole lot easier for you to get this in your boat, and your whole deck work will be welded. I'm excited about building this one out, guys. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so I lied to you. I told you I was gonna build this boat at my shop, and I was really trying to do that, but it's just not possible. I mean, there's so much that goes on at the shop, and there's just not enough hours in the day. So here I am again, at home in my garage. I'm gonna build this boat. I'm gonna do this on my own time, nights and weekends, but I'm gonna knock this thing out quick. Now, this tracker is a little bit different than some of the other boats because it does already come with a floor in it, and it has these side panels in here. So it's pretty much finished off, which is awesome. It's great. I love the fact that it's all finished like this because it makes it a whole lot easier on me. It saves me a ton of time. Now the floor that's in here, this thing is thick. It's like 3/16 of an inch. I'm not sure how thick these sidewalls are. I'm gonna find out shortly because I gotta cut some holes in them. But the whole entire boat from the bow all the way back to this bench seat is streamlined, and that's awesome. This back area right here, man, I hate this. I don't know why Tracker does this. They drop these little panels down on the back. These are just filled with foam, so I would rather them not even put them in here, to be honest with you. If you look at this, like, see there's a weld here. This whole piece, I don't understand why they didn't just bring this up 3/4 of an inch taller, and then it would have been the same height as everything else. I mean, they went through the trouble of welding all of this stuff in here. I mean, the side panels, they got welded seams up in the corners on both sides. I just don't get it, but it's one of the flaws with the trackers that I really hate. So this back bench area is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I did get Austin to make all the hatches today for this boat. So this front deck, I was gonna keep it at 32 inches. I thought about making it 36 inches, but I'm thinking about shipping purposes and really like storage and how much room do you really need in here and what's gonna be sufficient for the amount of space you'll have inside of the box. So I'm gonna make this entire front deck come back an additional 34 inches. And what that's gonna do is it's going to give you a drop-in hatch that's going to go right in the front right here. It's going to be 15 inches wide. And then right behind that, you're going to have another hatch that's going to be a 13-inch drop-in. Now, with the flanges from the lips on either side of that, it's going to work out to 34 inches. And that will bring you out to about right here. So you're still gonna have a decent floor in here. And then I just gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this back area. Now I do have this hatch right here already made. This one I built for a guy for a tracker, same style boat. I think it was a 1448 though. He ordered this hatch and there was some miscommunications. We went back and forth a couple of times about sizing. I tried to explain to him the way that my hatches work. You give me the drop-in hatch size, and then it has this flange around it that's 1.5 inches, and it just didn't work out. He did not get what he wanted, so I wasn't gonna argue with him. I went ahead and made him a new hatch, and I had this one left over, and it actually works out perfect because I can take this hatch and make it work. It's gonna fit right up over this back transom area right here from the back bench seat back to the transom. So I am gonna have to bring this up a little bit. I'm gonna build some type of false panels or something. I don't know. It's all gonna be part of this kit though. So if you have a tracker Grizzly, whether it's a 1448 or a 1648, this is gonna be an opportunity for you to buy this as a kit. It's not gonna be cheap, but it is going to be the same exact layout that I'm gonna put in here, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. And it's basically gonna turn your plain Jane John boat into a tournament John boat. I got a lot to do, guys. I got a lot of other projects I was trying to work on right now besides this one, but I had to bring this home because the jet boat is coming back in a couple of days and I've got to finish that up at the shop. So there's no way I'm gonna have time to do this one and the jet boat. And that jet boat has got to be finished and I'm hyped about that too. He actually sent me some footage of the motor running. So I'm getting excited about finishing that thing up and taking it out on the water and doing a little water test with it. But what I'm gonna try to do tonight is I'm gonna try to get all the framing done for this front deck. Now, like I said, this is gonna be part of a kit. So I'm gonna build all this framing. I'm gonna take it out of the boat. I'm gonna weld it from both sides solid, get good measurements on it. That way I can build them and mass produce them and ship them to you guys' door. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some angle. I've got a couple of pieces of angle over here. I'm gonna put a piece of angle up against this front existing deck. I'm gonna put a couple rivets in it temporarily just to hold it up here. I'm gonna frame back off of that with some 3x1 by 1/16 tubing, have another angle on the back side. Once I get those pieces figured out and installed, then I can drop my hatches in and get everything laid out just the way I want it to be. I'm gonna get this stuff installed on the boat, guys. Let's get back to work. All right, so now you can get a feel for how this front deck kit is gonna work. It looks sweet, right? I mean, this is something that you could order and you can install in a weekend. And these hatches are all interchangeable. If you don't wanna have 3 up here and 2 here, you could have one big hatch, or you could have 3 or 4 up here, or 3 or 4 down here, whatever you want. That's the cool thing about this kit. Now, I did make a mistake on this one, a little bit off of my measurements. So what happened was I'm 3 inches big. You can see here, these hatches are overlapping. This is supposed to have a 1x3 tube in here, and it can't have that because they're too close. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run this side, the short side of these hatches through the table saw. Now I cut all these hatch track frames with an aluminum blade on a chop saw, but I also have a table saw set up with an aluminum blade. And all I gotta do is cut down this flange right here. Instead of it being 1.5 inches, I'm gonna make it 3/4 of an inch, and then it will drop in here perfectly. I'm probably gonna bring this boat back to the shop tomorrow because I wanna involve Austin in the video since he's already built all the hatches for it. I did talk to the customer earlier, and he wants to go with the gator turf. And I think it's pretty sick. I'm gonna try to go with the 1/2 inch cut groove gator turf just so it sets it off a little bit different because I've done a bunch of these flat, smooth turfs, and I really like the ones that have the cut groove in it. It's a little bit harder to install, but I think it looks a whole lot sweeter. So it's definitely gonna be a cool upgrade for this boat, and it's really gonna fit with the paint job because we're not doing a paint job on this, so I have to be careful not to burn any of this paint on the outside of the hull. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this front deck. I got a lot to do, guys. Let's get back to work. Alright guys, so look, we are chopping all this foam out of here, and I mean it's just soaked, it's saturated. The tracker is notorious for this type of stuff. This foam down here has so much water in it, it's getting heavy. I don't know what the solution to this is, to be honest with you, because it's just the foam. The type of foam that they use just holds water. You see it in here too. Watch me snap a piece off. Dark spot, that's all water. I'm definitely going to remove all of this foam out of this boat, but if I had one of these trackers, I would get it out of there as soon as possible. I guarantee you there's at least an extra 200 pounds of weight just right here in this back bench seat from this wet foam. Put you guys back on the hyperlapse. Let's get back to work.
Alright guys, so we made a lot of progress on this boat build. I did make a piece I'm pretty excited about. You see it right over here on that side. It's sitting up on the lower portion of this back pod in the back area right here. It's just for flotation. They fill it full of foam. It's stupid. It aggravates me they drop it down, but this is gonna be a game changer for all you tracker owners. I've got this piece. It literally just bends down the side and you can rivet it right into the side of this existing pod that's lower. And it has a bend on the other side that's gonna rest on top of this. Now, all of the trackers are gonna be a little bit different with the heights, so that might be something you have to trim or grind a little bit. I'll explain more about that later, but I think that's really gonna help me build this back deck, and it's gonna help you guys if you wanna do the same thing. Now, this front deck, it turned out sick. This is going to be an entire kit. It's going to be specific specifically for the Tracker Grizzly 1648. It might fit in the 1448s. I gotta check one out, but I'm gonna take this thing out of here. I'm gonna weld the whole thing from the backside. I've gotta cut a hole through this floor. I'm gonna run all of his plumbing and everything, get this live well hooked up and put in here before I make this deck permanent. I am gonna put like some interior walls to block off some of these hatches so you can have 3 separate hatches up here. It's gonna be sick. I don't have a whole lot more metal work to do. This helps me out immensely. I am gonna take this boat home over the weekend because I gotta get this project wrapped up. I got a lot of other projects coming up, and I got this jet boat that's gonna be coming in next Tuesday. I'm not sure how many episodes I'm gonna make in this series. I might just do 1 more, might be 2 more. I'm not sure yet, but I do appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. I gotta get back to work.